Welcome to Pickleball, Michigan and Beyond, a show that explores the people, players, places, and most importantly, communities that make up pickleball in Michigan and around the world. Here's your host, Tony Conley.
Welcome to Pickleball, Michigan and Beyond. I'm your host, Tony Conley. Our producer is Benjamin Robinson. The sport and popularity of pickleball is exploding around the world, especially right here in Michigan. On Pickleball, Michigan and Beyond, we'll talk with the players, the pros, the facility owners, the tournament promoters, the equipment, the clothing leaders, and most importantly, the communities that encompass pickleball. And today, we're here for part two with our interview with Diana Yager. She is a promoter. She is a tournament person. She's a player. We'll get into that a little bit more, but she's back with us. Her enthusiasm for pickleball is just amazing. Diana, how you doing?
Very good. First of all, let me thank you for having me on. I certainly appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here. Now, with our last conversation, we talked a lot about you and your background and how you started playing pickleball and so on. I want to get a little bit more in the weeds here, if you will, about a few things when it comes to pickleball. So let's start with player ratings. Tell us about the ratings, how they help folks, especially when they're entering tournaments or just going on the road to play pickleball, how those work and who's deemed the official to give those.
Okay, well, ratings are generally from 2.0 to 5.0, and you can actually, to begin with, self-rate by looking, just Google it, and it's going to tell you, okay, if you can, if you normally make your serves deep, consistently. If you're a 3.0, you should be able to consistently do that. If you can return them consistently deep, if you can dink back and forth consistently, and then it says, okay, if you can do all those, and then it'll say 3.5, and then it'll give you some more things. Can you do this consistently? So generally speaking, if you're entering a tournament and don't have a rating yet, then that's the way to do it, is look and see what, and plus ask people that have been in tournaments, especially if they've seen you play, what rating would I be and what would you suggest that I enter at?
Diana, what about official ratings for folks, like what they ask you at tournaments? Talk about the differences in those. And who's deemed, I don't know, an official enough? What do you have to do? You have to take a class?
Duper ratings, and I don't remember what duper stands for. Everybody calls them duper ratings. And they, after you're done with your tournament, they will send those scores in. And then your duper rating is based on those scores. So the more wins that you have and the higher percentage of wins and scores is going to get you a higher duper rating. But there's a lot of tournaments that don't require that. You can just say, okay, I'm a 3.0. And I think we will eventually so you have to have a duper rating, because the problem with that is there are quite a few people, well, not a lot, but there seems like some in every tournament that go, oh, I want to get a medal. So I'm really a 3.5, but I think I'll just say I'm a 3.0. So you always run into that, which is frustrating.
What kind of ratings do the pros use, and who determines the rating they get?
That's I'm not sure about that. I think they have their own system, and I don't know who regulates that. But they're generally like 5.0 players, and or better. So,
and let's talk a little bit about pickleball rules, Diana. Just take us through the basics, especially which was the most confusing for me, the game starting serve and how that works.
Okay, so you always start on the right-hand side. Whoever is on the right-hand side starts the serve. It has to bounce in the quadrant, kind of like tennis would. And then the return of the serve also has to bounce once. So you have the bounce rule, and if you make a point, when you serve, then you go to the left hand side and you call a score. So you would always be, if you start the serve, you're going to be server one on that particular serve. So the score would be, you just got a point. So the score would be one. The opponent's score would be zero. And then your server one. So it would be 1-0-1. Okay, so you serve from the left side. Let's say you make another point. So now you move back over to the right, and it's going to be 2-0-1. And you continue to be one until you lose that serve. And then after you serve to begin with, it goes across court to your opponents. Normally, both of you serve, but not on the very first serve because it gives you too much of an advantage if you both get to serve to begin with. So that person on the opposite court would say, okay, they would start on the right-hand side. The score would be their 0, so it would be 0-2, and their server 1. Now, let's say that they don't make a point, so it goes to server 2, their partner. It would be 0-2, and now their server 2. Maybe they make a point, so they would switch, and the guy would go over on the right-hand side, and now it would be 1. Opponent score is 2, and he's still server 2. Keeping score is probably the most difficult part of the game, but it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I recently attended a clinic that Carl Pollack taught, and when I serve, Diana, I try to serve to the opponent's backhand because I know that's probably going to be a little weaker.
Sure.
Or if they're cheating to their forehand, I'll try to hit to the open space. But one thing I learned from him, that first serve, you can maybe take some chances and try to hit it with spin or hit it a little harder. But that second service, just get it in and play so you can get a point. You agree with that?
Yeah, I do. He's a great teacher. I haven't personally taken lessons from him, but I do know him, and I've watched him teach lessons, and he's excellent.
All right. And Diana, I have from time to time a problem with the kitchen area. I have size 14 feet. I try to keep them out of there. Talk a little bit about the kitchen area, where it is, and how you should play that.
Okay, so the kitchen area is 7 feet from the net on each side. A lot of people say you can't go into the kitchen. Actually, you can stand in the kitchen all day long. The problem is you can't hit the ball until it bounces in the kitchen. So you shouldn't be in there because if it bounces in there, the ball might be slightly behind you or whatever, and you always need to hit the ball in front of you. So, yeah, you want to stay out of the kitchen, but technically you could stay in there all day long. But yeah, and the reason for that is the reason it has to bounce in there is because somebody could stand right at the net, and if the ball's a little high, they could just smash it over, and the opponent wouldn't have any chance at all. So that would be a huge advantage. So that's why they do that.
And you just have to make sure that you're aware where your feet are, that you let it bounce.
Exactly, because if you hit it and then you stumble into the kitchen, it doesn't matter when you stumble in. I don't care if the ball's gone back 2 or 3 times since then. If you're there doing the helicopter thing, trying to stay out of the kitchen, and you accidentally stumble in, that's a fault.
Okay,
also,
now
if your hat falls in, you have keys in your shirt pocket or whatever, that falls in, nothing can fall into the kitchen.
Diana, if a ball is in the kitchen, it bounces, I hit it over, and then I step into the kitchen. Is that still a fault?
That's a fault.
Okay, so you can't be in there regardless. Okay, that's good to know. Now, I've heard Jesse Stipkak told me that there may be a time where you hit the ball, you're about to go in the kitchen, but you can jump out of bounds maybe and come back in bounds.
Sure, yeah. And technically, you could go in, say you hit it over, and then you reestablished yourself outside, and then you, for some reason, wanted to go into the kitchen. You can do that, but again, you can't hit the ball. The whole thing is your momentum can't take you into the kitchen after you've hit the ball.
Okay. But when the ball goes over the net, can you step into the kitchen?
If it's bounced, sure.
Okay.
If it's bounced in the kitchen and you hit it over, yes. Then you want to get right back out, because if they hit it in the kitchen again, or maybe they hit it not in the kitchen, they hit it behind you,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for you to hit it, and you can't hit it while you're in the kitchen because it hasn't bounced in the kitchen.
Diana, I wanted to get your take on clinics and individual coaching, if you will. Just going through my coaching session with Carl Pollack, it was real interesting the little tips that he had that I was going, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, that's great news. What's your take on those clinics and on the individual teaching, and how do you find a good teacher?
Um, I definitely believe in clinics. I definitely believe in people like Carl that know the game and teach the game. Um, Basically, you can find good teachers just by asking around. There's so many you know pickleball players out there that have taken lessons, and they can tell you where. But almost any class that you take, you'll find some good tips, and not necessarily the same tips. You might get a couple other tips from another teacher.
On the serve, Diana, what do you suggest to folks beyond just getting it over and hitting it deep? And any other little tricks or tips you have for that?
Well, if you've got a good spin, some people do.
Mm-hmm.
Spinning it is That's what I have problems with. If they have a great spin, or if they can, dink it off, or not dink it, but serve it fast up to the edge of the court. That takes me off the court then in order to return it. Those are
Mm-hmm.
difficult.
Mm-hmm. There are a couple of players I've come through with the spin, and what I found out with these two, and I would say they're probably three, five players, is the services don't go very deep, so you don't have to sit as far back, so you can come up. Little weird things like that I found. All right, so as someone who plays locally in the Mid Michigan area. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with the club in Delta Township and the Lansing Arena. And it seems to be a big deal out there. A lot of people talk about playing out there,
Yeah,
Diana. Tell us
yeah.
about it.
Well, we've been that facility, the Lansing City Arena, which was actually, uh, well, it was built many, many years ago as a ice arena.
Hmm.
But 5 years ago, they transferred it into a futsal arena.
Hmm.
They play futsal in there. Futsal is a form of indoor soccer.
Hmm.
And then they also have a lot of volleyball in there. But we went in there, my husband and I, and two other couples, because it was the end of summer, and we said, well, we need a place to play. And there weren't a lot of places to play at that time. That was 5 years ago.
Hmm.
So we said, what about Lansing City Arena? They're making it into a futsal arena. So we said, let's stop in.
Diana, is that the place? Is that located on Washington?
No, it's right across from Lansing Mall.
Okay.
It,
Oh,
you,
okay.
yeah, it used to be the old Joanne's Fabric used to be in there.
Okay.
It's it used to be a mini mall, but they opened it all up, and now
Okay.
it's a pretty large arena in there.
Okay.
Uh, so we started playing pickleball in there. Now the problem is we can only have the facility from 8 in the morning till 11:30 uh, in the morning,
Hmm.
because when we leave, we tear everything down, and they either set up for futsal or they set up for um, volleyball, because that's really, really a busy arena. But we play um, from 8 to 11:30. It's a $5 drop in or a $40 monthly. So for $40, you can play, Monday through Friday from 8 to 11:30. Then we have a couple of special events. On Mondays, we have a ladies round robin, and how that works is we have 6 courts, so we have 3 different skill levels, and pretty much we know who's what skill level. So there's 8 people, and you play each person one time, and you record your scores. Scores to 11, first one to 11, so you have a possibility of 70 points, 77 points. and then whoever at the end of the day has the highest points is the winner. And the girls
Mm.
have really enjoyed that because they're in with basically their own skill set,
Hmm.
and we're all really good friends. So
And it seems like a lot of facilities are doing that now, trying to put like players together and making it competitive by having those type of contests, which makes it fun for some.
yeah, we also on Wednesday then we have a mixed league, men and women, and that's a ladder league. And how a ladder league works is I assign you a court in the first time you come, and I pretty well know everybody's skill level. And then we play 7 games, and if you win, say I put you on court 3, if you win, then you go to court 2. If you lose, then you go to court 4.
Mhm.
And you play 7 games, and the object is to get to court 1, kind of king of the court type thing. We also have another fun thing that we do, which I don't think anybody else does, is we play poker. So how that works is we have 3 decks of cards. If you win, you draw 2 cards. If you lose, you draw 1 card. You can only have 5 cards in your hand, and at the end of the 7 games, whoever has the best poker hand wins. Then we get a prize out for that.
That's a cool idea. Final question for you, Diana. Let's talk a little bit about pickleball gear and equipment. What do you think folks need once they get past the beginner phase, if you will, and think, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to start playing regularly.
Okay, so of course you'll need a paddle, and I wouldn't run out and just buy a paddle. There's a lot of places and ambassadors of the game, like Jessie Stipkak, has loaner paddles, and she also sells diadem paddles, so you can try them out first. And she often lets you take them home and use them for a week or 2 or whatever, and then if you're interested, because a lot has to do with the weight of the paddle. It has to do with the grip, whether your hand is very big. So there's a lot of different things that go into it. Whether you put a lot of spin on your ball, what kind of grit it has on it. So I wouldn't buy a paddle without trying it first. Plus, there's a lot of people. If you go to a court, almost anybody most of us have at least 2 paddles, and we're more than willing to lend them out. So even if you're on the court, sometimes I've had people go, "Oh, do you like that?" And I go, "Yeah, you want to try it? Let's trade paddles."
Diana, with this pickleball thing, you having fun?
Oh my gosh, I'm having a great time. A great time.
Why is that?
Well, first of all, it's so social, and you're getting exercise. Mental health, it's great. As we age, I'm 78. I started playing when I was 68. The older you get, the more the people that you worked with are, you lose touch with them. Your neighbors are moving away, or maybe you've moved or what have you. So you really need that social benefit, and for your mental well-being. So you have this great group of friends that you start doing other things with, going out to dinner, and we now have a tournament that we play board games at Jessie's most Sundays. So there's quite a few people that have joined that. So it's just great for that. And the exercise is wonderful. You need to lose weight, if you need to try to bring down your high cholesterol or whatever, that's helpful.
Diana, what's the name of your pickleball club?
It's called Lansing City Arena Pickleball Club.
And for folks who want more information when they're in the mid-Michigan area, if they want to play, where do they go?
They can either, the facility itself, which we're just a part of, they can look up the website, which is Lansing City Arena, or if they're on Facebook, they can do Lansing City Arena Pickleball, and we're on that.
Diana Yager, big promoter of pickleball in the mid-Michigan area. Diana, I know we'll be talking with you again soon. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having us on.
You're welcome. This is Pickleball Michigan. When we come back, we've got another great interview for you. Pickleball Michigan and beyond.
Thanks for listening to Pickleball Michigan and Beyond. Follow us on Facebook and check out our website, pickleballmichiganandbeyond.com.